everyone, my name is Alex. I am wearing a knit top, and by the end of this video I hope that you agree with me. For those of you who don't know me, I am a full-time reseller on a few different platforms: eBay, Mercari, Relove, and Poshmark. My handles on them are ALIXBYDESIGN, and I'm also on Instagram. eBay and Mercari are some random combinations of numbers and letters, so I'll put those down in the description if you want to look at either of those storefronts. But today I wanted to talk to you guys about one of the most difficult questions that you can probably ever get, especially if you are in a position of management. So I actually used to be a manager for a well-known consignment store in Minnesota, Colorado, and Arizona. And one of my least favorite questions, but also favorite questions to answer, is this a knit top or a sweater or blouse or whatever? And the reason that this is such an important question and why I want to give you guys some of the tricks that I have is because there's a huge price difference at the retail stores and for the resale value depending on what they are. For example, at the consignment store that I managed, we had a pricing guide that we went by that went based off of brand, age, and then what it's made of. So for example, let's say we got a Free People item in. Well, a Free People knit top is going to be $12. A Free People blouse is going to be $18, and a Free People sweater is going to be $24. So there's a huge price difference, and that's because of the materials it's made of, how long it takes to make it. And you know, if you went to the retail store for Free People, for example, their sweaters are going to be in like the low $100 range, whereas their knit tops are going to be like, you know, $70. So there's a huge difference, and you don't want to be missing out on money. And if you're like a resale manager and you're paying people out, you don't want to be, you know, giving them $5 for something that they should have gotten $24, for example. So I have a few different examples here. If you ever disagree with something that I say, or if you have anything that you want to add, or if you want more tips, look in the comments below, because hopefully there will be other people with other tricks. The only thing that will make me really sad is if you leave me negative, mean things that stab into my heart, because that just doesn't make my day. Alright, so I have I have a pile of clothes here. This is stuff that actually came from my personal closet and my boyfriend's. So this is not stuff that's for sale in my Poshmark closet, so don't even try. But there's a few different examples in here that I hope will help you when it comes to identifying what the material is, not making yourself look like a fool for calling something a knit top when it's a sweater, and so that you can sell your item, whether it be for more money or less money. So my first example, and this is one of my favorites, so this is actually in my closet, my Poshmark closet. So this is a J. Crew sweater. It's a really lightweight, it's high-low. The style name is called, I think on J. Crew it's like the merino wool tunic cardigan or something like that. And this is a sweater. It's really lightweight. Usually you think of a sweater as being something that's heavy and warm and, you know, something that's going to be like the huge cable knit, which I do have something that's more of a knit fabric. I don't have any cable knits in here, but cable knit is kind of like that giant braided, I'm making this because it usually has that thick like texture on it that it looks braided. But there are sweaters that are tank tops, and that's what's important to understand. And I'll talk a little bit about pricing, but do not quote me on this and don't sue me. All right, so this is one example of a sweater. So if you can, I'm really sorry about my nails. I have a really bad dry skin problem. So if you can see those little like knots that are on the seam here, so these little knots, that identifies that it is a sweater. And the reason that it is like that is because it's reinforcing the stitch work. So when you're thinking about a sweater, and I should have probably started with this, and I'm not going to edit it, so sorry. What we're imagining when we're looking at a knit top versus a sweater is, imagine me taking a scissor, which I'm not going to be taking a scissor, and cutting this up or sideways or diagonally. And what we're gonna see, I probably wouldn't do it diagonally, but what we're gonna see is, in a sweater, if we were to cut it, the threads would unravel from each other, so you'd have like really long strands of fabric. Like, you know, you're picturing your grandma sitting on her couch, you know, with her yarn and doing crocheting or knitting. If you were to cut that, it's gonna unravel. If it is a knit top and you were to cut it, it's gonna fray. So there's gonna be like little pieces of fabric that come off. And I wish I had an example of that, but it's gonna fray. And if you need me to clarify that, comment below, reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll try to give you an example, send you a little separate video or whatever. But so if we were to take this and cut it, it's gonna unravel. And the reason that these little knots are here, and it's even around the collar, is because it's reinforcing that stitching. And so it's making sure that it doesn't unravel on you, and it's reinforcing it on the back side. So that's example number one. Found this last second because I was like, man, none of these have the knot detail on them, which happens too, depending on the size of the fabric. This is a knit top. This is actually a waffle shirt, a thermal, a layering piece, but it's this style of fabric. I hope you know what I'm talking about. It is a waffle shirt. We separate it. The stitching is still really tightly woven. If we were to cut this, it would fray, it would not unravel. This can be a mix of fabrics. It can be like, you know, this is probably cotton and I was gonna say spandex, but it's cotton and polyester. So it's a mix of fabrics that gives it stretch, which is what we're looking for in a knit top. They're gonna be stretchy. So this is stretchy. This, if I were to cut it, whoop, if I were to cut this, look, it's pilling because I wear my stuff until it falls apart. It would fray, even though it has those little braid marks in there, it's only gonna fray. And look, I have a cat named Toby and he's white. Okay, so that's example number two. This is a waffle shirt. It also has, you know, that knit material. So this is a different kind, this is jersey knit. So this is a different knit material. And I keep saying knit because it's knit, it's not sweater. And then this is that textured cotton. All right, example number three, and this is a blouse or a men's shirt. So this is one of my favorites for Nick. I thrifted this for him. Actually, you know what, I thrifted it and he was helping me measure one night and I was like going through this one. He's like, excuse me, why didn't you show me that? And he ended up putting it on and he loved it. So that's a little side story. But this is a men's shirt. The way you can tell if something is a blouse is by the material as well. A blouse or a men's shirt is not going to have stretch to it. And if we were to cut it, it's gonna fray as well. So it's not gonna stretch. I mean, there's a little bit of give. I think that there is some spandex in here, potentially. I'll look at the tag in a second, but it's not stretching. It is a blouse. Remember, I'm not a professional. This is just, when I taught my employees, I would tell them beforehand, I'm going to explain this to you like you're 5, because I feel like everyone learns better if everyone would just try to teach each other things as if they were 5. At least that's how I learned the best. You can tell me all the specific jargon, you know, rayon's only going to be in a sweater, and cotton can sometimes be in a sweater, in a blouse, and whatever. But anyways, so this is just me making it easy, simple. Looks like this is 100% cotton. But it does not, it has a very little amount of stretch. So we're gonna call that a blouse / men's shirt. Next, drives me nuts actually, this is mine, it's my favorite, Nick just got it for me. When people call these sweaters, and my mom actually drilled this into my head as a kid, and just a side note, my mom does not like shopping for clothes, she does not like clothing. I don't know how I turned out the way that I did, but she was the one that taught me this. This, kids, this is a sweatshirt. This is not a sweater. Sweaters are something you sweat in. Sweatshirts are a zip-up hooded knit top. All right, so this has a fleece lining. This is all one material. This is not 2 layers. This is one material. So this is a cotton. If we were to cut it, it would fray. It would not unravel. This was not made on grandma's couch with knitting needles or a crochet needle. This was put on a sewing machine. And we can see around the stitching here, there's none of that bulbing. These are 2 separate fabrics that were just stitched together. Take hold. This is for rock climbing from the brand So Ill. I think it's in here somewhere. Yeah, see? And then this is a blend. So this is polyester, cotton, and rayon. So again, I'm not going to tell you, oh yeah, definitely this is a knit material or this is a knit top, because I don't know when it comes to fabrics. All I know is the way that the fabric feels and the way that it looks. Okay, so this is a sweatshirt. It is not a sweater, and it stretches. If I were to pull on it, it would be stretchy, which identifies as either a sweater or knit top. So it's like this little, like one of those bubble graphs where it's like, does it stretch? And then it's like, yes, no. If you say yes, then it goes, you know, was it woven by grandma? Yes, no. If it was yes, it's a sweater. If no, it's a knit top. I should make a little graph and like insert it in here, but I don't know how to do that. All right, next, this is a more basic sweater. So this has ribbing on it. That's what it's called. It's called a ribbed knit. And I say knit, but it is. It's knit by grandma on the couch. So it has like the texturing with the lines that go in and out. That's called ribbing. If I were to cut this, it would unravel. It would not fray. Now in the seams in this, it does not have the bulbing, like the reinforced stitching. I'm assuming because this is a higher end fabric, or it's a heavier fabric and it doesn't need reinforcing because they can't imagine it unraveling at the seams. So for example, the seam is right in the middle of the camera there and it's braided together. I think it's braided together. Maybe it's stitched together. Let's find out. Oh yeah, it looks like it's braided together. So this is a sweater. I think this is wool. This is W by Worth, which is a nicer brand. I found it, thrifted it, decided to keep it for myself. So this is actually just 100% cotton. And if you ever find something that's 100% something, or like 98 and 2, usually it means that it's a higher end brand, because I can't think of the reason right now, but all right, so that's a sweater. If we were to cut it, it would unravel, it would not fray. And I know I'm repeating myself, sorry. All right, so this is a sweater. This is really easy to identify as a sweater because like we barely even have to pull it apart and we can see that it's knit together. It is not, this was made by grandma on the couch. So that's what I have to say about that. And you can see it even in the trim that it's still woven together. So if I were to cut this right here, it would unravel. It would not fray. It would not fray in little pieces, and the hole would continue to grow. It would not just have a hole and that would just be the hole. I hope that makes sense. This one again does not have the bulbing around the seams at all. It was knit together. So that's that. This one is a lower end brand, but it is 100% acrylic. Acrylic is normally cheaper fabric to make, so. All right. Next, this one's a tricky one. So when we look at flannels, we usually say, that's a blouse, right? Wrong. Just like my cardigan isn't a sweater, it's a knit top. they can be tricky. They can make it more comfortable, or they can make it with different fabrics. Just depends on what it is. Also, that's what's making noise. Okay, so this is a knit top. It stretches. And then it actually has the sleeves that stretch too. If this was a normal flannel, hold on to that thought. My closet's right here. This is another one. This is also a flannel, but this is a blouse. This is a non-stretching material. I wish that like you guys could see that I'm like actually putting force in it. It does stretch a little bit this way, but I think that's just, I mean, because when you're pulling with the grain, it'll stretch a little bit, but generally like it doesn't move a lot. So this is a blouse, whereas this is a knit top. Stretchy, stretchy. So keep that in mind. That means that this would be, you know, $8, whereas the other one would be probably $12 because it's a higher end item. I wonder if anyone's even watching anymore. I'm trying to make as much sense as possible and give you all of the examples. All right, so just like what I'm wearing right now, this is not a sweater. This is a knit top, even though it's a cardigan. And this is what's such a bummer on Poshmark. So if you sell primarily on Poshmark, yay. It's bugged me since the beginning that if you want to put up a cardigan, if I wanted to put this up, I'd have to put it under this sweater category. They don't have cardigans under their tops category, which is such a bummer. Different price points. If somebody doesn't want to have a sweater, they want to have a lightweight cardigan that's like a knit material, they have to look under sweaters anyways. And then button-up shirts like the one I was just showing you, that would go under the knit category, but if you want to put it under button-up shirts, you have to put it under blouses. So there are some, like, you need to think, where is your audience going to look for your item? So for that, unfortunately, even though it's a knit top in my book, I would put it under the blouse category and subcategory button-up shirts. But then I would just make the price lower. So my audience is going to be hopefully looking for a button-up shirt, you know, under the blouse category instead of looking for, you know, a knit button-up shirt under the knit tops category. So it's so hit or miss, and it's such a bummer. But like this is a knit top. So this is a cardigan just like what I'm wearing. It's heavy too. It's one of my favorites. It's actually two-tone fabric. It's got pockets. It's great. I love it. The brand is Logo, I think. Yeah, by Logo Lounge by Lori Goldstein. But this is a knit material. This is jersey, so jersey knit. So if we were to, I mean, it stretches like a lot. But if we were to look at it and we stretch it, you can't see between the lines really. If you look really close, you're gonna see that it's got like the tiny braids. But if I were to cut this, I would get a hole in it. It would fray, but it would not continuously grow on its own, unlike a sweater. This one, unfortunately, I put in the sweater category under cardigan because people are going to find it easier on there than looking under tops and long sleeve tops. Poshmark. I'm just kidding. I love Poshmark with all of my heart. Just makes my head spin a little bit because it goes against everything I learned when I was a manager in Consignment. We had every single category. Okay, so this is a blouse. This is not a knit top. So this is a kimono. These can come in a knit material. They can come in a blouse material. This does not stretch when I pull on it. This is Chico's. I love this too. It's so fun to wear in the summer. This does not stretch. The only reason it looks like it's stretching is because my hands are, okay, so here. It doesn't stretch. This is a blouse. It looks, you know, technically it's a top, but it's a blouse. And so this I would put under blouses, and I can't remember what subcategories are in there. But anyways, so this is a blouse. It's a kimono. It doesn't stretch. So we know it's not a knit top, and if we were to cut it, it would fray, it would not unravel. So it is not a sweater, it is a blouse. All right, just two more. This is another logo. I really like logo. It's so comfy. So if you're ever wondering like what's the comfiest clothing to wear, find logo. Okay, so this is a knit top. It's very sheer, hi, and it's very stretchy, and you can see the tiny little braids in there, but if I were to cut this right here, it would fray, but it would not unravel, and the hole would not continuously grow on its own. So, stretchy, meaning it's not a blouse. If I were to cut it, it would fray and not unravel, so it is not a sweater. What are we left with? Knit top. Okay, so my very final item, I stared at my closet because even though I have my things that I look for to identify what category to put it under, there are still things that stump me, and there's probably still things that are stumping you. So this is Inside Out, because I take my shirts off really weird, but it's Cupio's brand. If we look at it, again, we can see the braids in between. If I were to cut this, I think it would just fray, and I'm not gonna try. It might unravel, but I would put this under the knit tops category because it strikes me more as a knit top. I'm gonna turn this right side out. It strikes me more as a knit top than it does a sweater. Mind you, if it was heavier knit, so if it was like, it's buried now. If it was this material and the same cut, this is a sweater. So if we take this, make it this fabric, it would be a sweater tank top. Those do exist, I promise. But I would definitely, you know, call this more of a knit top, and I would probably put that sweater under a tank top category. So like, I think tank tops are only available on Poshmark under knit top, or I'm sorry, if I had a sweater that was a tank top, I would go under the top category, and they have tank tops in there. I don't think they have tank tops anywhere else, and so that's where I would put it. That's me. You do you. And then one final thing I want to touch on, lace is not a sweater. If I were to cut this, it would unravel, but that does not mean that it's a sweater. So if you have an all lace anything, if you have an all lace tank top, an all lace dress, I would categorize that under a blouse. Argue with me if you want to. Generally, lace is not a very stretchy material. And if I were a shopper, I would look in the blouse section for an all lace something. I wouldn't look in the sweater section, and I wouldn't look in the knit top section, because the knit, I'm looking for something like this, where it's full coverage, where it's really stretchy, and a sweater, I'm looking for something that is yarn. It's not lace. If you're ever curious how lace is made, it's really cool, and you should look up YouTube videos because their conveyor belts are insane. Okay. So anyways, I want to thank you for watching through this with me. Please comment below if you have anything that you disagree with. I always want to learn other people's tricks too. Everything that I just told you, I learned from other people in the company that I used to work for. So I'm not taking any of this information as, ooh, I created it. I learn everything from other people, and I'm just spreading the word as much as I can. So please, if you have anything that you wanted to add or disagree with, put it below. Anything that's mean to me, I will cry, so don't do that. Alright, so anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.